let's run through it again. We'll cut it out. We'll cut the first 12 minutes out of this episode. But here we go. Episode 6 of Sports with Seb is live, man. Welcome back, everybody. We have episode 6 of Sports with Seb, NBA playoff hoops. But before we get into this episode, we got a lot of things that we're going to go over. We got some NBA playoffs. We have FIU transfer portal updates. We have NFL schedules that release. We have NFL news that's been broken within the last 2 weeks since we saw each other. So I'm going to try and run through everything today, but I do like to keep my episodes within an hour or less. So I might not be able to touch on everything today, but if we don't, no worries. I will be going live next Wednesday to have another episode and go over everything that we didn't talk about and give our finals predictions once we know more or less. I think by next Wednesday we should know more or less who's going. So we'll see from there. So let's get right into it, man. So we have Mason Blazer, our first FIU, well, not our first FIU commit, but our first FIU commit of the episode. Mason Blazer from Florida Southwestern. He's 6'6" guard. He played in 31 games last season, averaged 16 points, 4.5 rebounds. He shot 49% from the floor and 42% from three. So this man can score. He can score efficiently. He can score on the floor from anywhere. That's huge, man. And he's 6'6", bro. That's huge because FIU, like I said, in previous episodes, they lacked size last season, and that's one of the big things that I wanted to see FIU get into this go round in the offseason was add some size to the roster, and they definitely have done so thus far. So another 6'6" guard added to the roster. He was at first team all conference and an all FCSAA honors at St. Petersburg College in 2024 to 2025. So we have our first commit here on the board for this episode. And then the next commit, we don't have anything written up on him just yet. We'll get that out there as soon as possible. But I do have the tweet that FIU did put out today. This athlete that we signed is a little bit on the shorter end. He's 5'11". He's from Santo Domingo. Let me scroll down a little bit so you guys can see. His name's I don't want to mispronounce his first name, so I'm gonna call him Mr. Cuevas. He's from Santo Domingo, and we added a point guard. I'm okay with him being 5'11" if he's gonna be at the one spot. So we have some much needed guard play that we were lacking so far on our depth chart. And now we have some depth at the point guard position and at the guard position in general. We have a couple of guards that we've signed so far this transfer portal period. So FIU roster is looking really good so far. If you guys haven't already seen it, we do have the transfer portal out on lemoncitylive.com. Feel free to go ahead and take a look at it. If you guys click the link in my bio or in the bio of Lemon City, you guys will find this article, FIU Men's Transfer Portal Tracker, brought to you by me, myself, and Ricardo, who is our other FIU writer for the Panthers. Oh, what happened to my mic? Oh, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to my camera there. It got super blurry. And yeah, so that's gonna be the FIU transfer portal stuff. So now let's get into the meat and potatoes. Oh, actually, let's get into the other thing that I wanted to talk about before. So I did want to try and get into, let me go full cam here. I wanted to try and bring some WNBA coverage onto the channel because I like the WNBA. I'm a Mystics fan. I love watching the Washington Mystics when they're playing, which, by the way, the WNBA schedule is super crazy because why is the Mystics playing? They played this past Sunday, but then they don't play again until Friday. Come on, man, you're gonna make me wait that long, bro? Are you kidding me? Or was that the case? Or was it that they played Sunday? Let me see, hold on. Oh no, they played Monday. No. Yeah, they played Monday, the 18th, right? But then they don't play again until this following Sunday, on the 24th. Are you kidding me, bro? Come on, man. What are we doing? But yeah, WNBA, again, just gonna touch on it lightly. The season has begun. It begun about 2 weeks ago. We're a couple games in for a couple of teams. This is the current standings right now. Let me show you guys on the screen. this is the current standings as of right now, right? Move myself up a little bit here. Can I zoom in on this? Actually, we could just zoom in on here. Hold on. There we go. Oh man, guys, this is gonna trigger me. Hold on. Let me just go back to regular size, average size. There we go. Whatever, you guys see it. If anything, we'll scroll down. For you guys on Twitter, you guys are in luck. I can make it as big as I freaking want. And you guys should be good. All right. So as you guys see here, you guys can see the current WNBA standings as of May 20th. We have Vegas, the defending WNBA champions, sitting at 4-1. We have the Chicago Sky sitting at 3-1. And if you guys don't know, Chicago Sky have completely turned their team around with some nice offseason additions. Skylar Diggins, Rakia Jackson. But there was some news that hit them this past couple days. Rakia Jackson is going to be out for the remainder of the season. She did tear her ACL in the previous game versus, I believe it was the Seattle Storm. I'm not entirely too sure on that, but it was whoever their last game was against. She did tear her ACL, so she is going to be out for the remainder of the season. So we hope she recovers speed-wise. She recovers super fast and super healthy. All right. And then you guys see the rest of the standings as of right now. Washington Mystics right out of the playoff race, sitting at number 9 at 2-2. Again, guys, the season is super early on. We have plenty of time to get back into the playoff race for the Washington Mystics right now. But yeah, man, I just want to shout out to WNBA because I like watching it. I've been watching it for the past 2 years, 3 years. So I'm a new fan, so forgive me if I don't know all the lore on everything just yet. But yeah, man, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. Some early predictions, honestly, so far this season, I wouldn't be surprised if the Aces go back to back, man. I really think that their team is honestly loaded. I mean, they have the GOAT, they have Asia Wilson on their team. All right, that's one. Then you have Jackie Young, you have Jewel Lloyd, Chelsea Gray. And then you add Kennedy Carter, who wasn't on that WNBA team last season, so because she was playing overseas and however that whole thing goes. But she's back now. She's one of their top leading scorers for that team, and she makes a huge difference. She brings a scoring boost that takes some of the pressure off of the other stars on the Aces. So I think that was a great addition. A low low risk addition to the team, and they hit it out the park with that one. So I really do think that the Aces could potentially go back to back, assuming everybody is healthy come playoff time. Other notes, I mean, I've tried to keep in touch and watch as many different games as I can. I know the Fever are struggling right now. Caitlin Clark is going to be out tonight with a back injury. They're missing Aaliyah Boston for a couple games. So a team that I thought was going to start off better was going to be the LA Sparks because they had Cameron Brink, Kelsey Plum. They added, I don't know how to pronounce her name, but it starts with her last name starts with O. I just don't want to butcher it. And I know they also added Kate Martin. Not that Kate Martin is anywhere super crazy, but that's some great bench option to bring off the team. And then they also added Ray Burrows. So they have a couple of athletes here on their team. Dearica Hamby, another one that I didn't mention. Erica Wheeler, another one that I didn't mention. So yeah, they have a great roster here. And I'm surprised that they're sitting at 1-3 right now. So we'll see what happens later down the line. Again, plenty of games to be played in the WNBA before any teams need to really start being worried about their position in the standings. Right? Let me get some water here. What are we at right now? We're at about 10 minutes. It's not bad. Not bad. All right. Let's get into the next thing that I want to talk about. Let's get into my bookmarks, because where are my bookmarks at? Because that's what I want. There we go. I bookmarked a couple different things because we got a couple of different things that we need to talk about. Here we go. You guys see it, man. If you guys don't see it, let me zoom out a little bit here for you guys. Alright, and then on Twitter, you guys should be able to see it. No, there you go. Alright, man. So you guys can probably see it here. If you don't, I could probably zoom in maybe once. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. On Twitter, you guys are cooked though. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. All right. The next thing that I wanted to talk about, the NBA MVP award. If you guys haven't already heard, SGA has gone back to back. You guys can see the number of votes right there. If you guys can't see it, SGA had a total amount of 83 first place votes. Nikola Jokic had 10 first place votes, and Victor Wembanyama had 5 first place votes. You guys can see the total score all the way to the right. If you guys can't, SGA had 939 points, Jokic had 634 points, and Wembanyama had 569 points. So those were your three candidates, your top three candidates for the NBA MVP award. I've gone on record numerous times and have said I think SGA should not have won this award. I think this award was Nikola Jokic's to win. I mean, he averages more points. Well, let's double check. Let's just pull it up ourselves. I mean, why pretend like we're pulling it out of thin air? Oh, maybe he doesn't average more points than him. Oops. All right, here you go. Oh, this is postseason. Hold on. Let's go to regular season. Here we go. Nikola Jokic, 27.7 points. SGA, 31.1. All right. You got me there, SGA. You can score the ball better than Jokic. But let's look at some other stats here. Right? You have 55% efficiency versus 56. Okay? 38%, 38.6, roughly more or less the same. SGA hasn't beat though. Free throw attempts 9 to 7, right? Free throw percentage, it's close, but SGA hasn't beat. All right, cool. Rebounds, obviously Jokic knocks him out the park. I mean, I don't even think that's close. It's almost 10 rebounds more than SGA. Almost 10. Okay, I'm rounding super crazy right now, but almost 10. Okay, assists. I mean, he's averaging basically 4 more assists than him. They basically average the same amount of steals and blocks. SGA does average less turnovers. And what is the double-doubles? And then you can see the double-doubles and the triple-doubles. The numbers are close. But when you really look at them and you take into account what these teams have done in the regular season, I mean, can we really sit here and say that SGA should have won that MVP award? And should the votes been that drastically different and separated from each other? Like, I don't know. I mean, OKC wins 10 more games, sure, but Jokic has 55 double-doubles on the season, 34 triple-doubles on the season. He's averaging a triple-double for the year. Like, I think what happened was we've seen the triple-double average happen too many times already. Not by different players, by the same player, Russ, by Jokic himself. We've seen it happen too often these last few years where someone has done it once. And maybe the voters are just like, it's not that impressive anymore. Especially if it's the same guy doing it. Like, he's already got his two. Give someone else. Maybe that's what the voters are thinking. I don't know, Chad. I'm just trying to think here as to how it would be possible for Jokic not to have won another MVP award. I don't know. The NBA voters have always been known to get awards wrong, whether it's MVP award, whether it's giving a Defensive Player of the Year award to Marc Gasol, who wasn't even all defensive first team. But hey, like, who makes the rules here? Not me. Not me. All in all, though, I would say Jokic should have won that MVP award over SGA. I think the triple-doubles, the double-doubles, averaging a triple-double throughout the whole season, shooting a little bit more efficiently than him throughout the season, I think that earns him the MVP award versus SGA. That's just me, though. That's just me. Let's see, what else do we have to talk about here? LeBron. That's who we're going to talk about now. That's the next thing that we have here on. Oh, well, also we have this news that we probably skipped over, and you guys probably saw it. So, New Orleans Pelicans are hiring Jamal Mosley, the former Orlando Magic's coach. He will be their new head coach for the next few seasons. He took the Orlando Magic to three consecutive playoff berths, and now he will be coaching Zion Williamson in New Orleans. All right, this was my predictions before any of the games started. Okay, Knicks win in 7, OKC wins in 6. Guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm ready to change both of my predictions after the first game. Today, this is being filmed before OKC and San Antonio play game 2, so I'm still gonna wait before I actually reconsider changing my vote officially. But I don't know, man. It's not looking too good. We'll see. But actually, let's go over that real quick. So this is my prediction though, right? So let me see here. So we have Spurs versus OKC. Originally, I had OKC in 6. I think the playoff experience that OKC has had last season, going to the finals, winning the NBA finals, I think the adversity that they went through last season gives them the edge over San Antonio in this series. I think Wemby's good enough to get the Spurs 2 games, but if Fox doesn't come back anytime soon, I don't know if Castle and Harper are going to be enough to close the whole series out. Like I said, Wemby's good enough to get 2 games with or without De'Aaron Fox, but I do think De'Aaron Fox gets them those extra 2 games to win the series. So let's see, though. Let's see. That's just me, though. And then you have the Cavs and the Knicks series. I have Knicks in 7. I obviously am on record saying here that Harden needs to step up big time. He shot 38% versus the Pistons in the playoff series previous to this one. The Cavs needed to get to the free throw line, control the pace of the game, and the Knicks need to take advantage of D. Mitch and Harden's lack of defense. Now, if you guys saw the game yesterday, everything that I just said happened. Harden needed to step up big time. He shot 38%. He completely dookied the bed yesterday. I don't know what he shot, but I know it wasn't that great. Let's take a look at it. We can pull it up here. 5 for 16, dude. Come on. What is that? What's the quick math on that? 31%. So you shot even worse than you normally would. Or you shot worse than you did last series. Game 1, right? That's the first thing. The second thing, they needed to get to the free throw line, control the pace of the game. They were able to control the pace of the game once they started to get the lead. But once they went up 20-something, around 20, 22 points, and the fourth quarter started to kick in, I don't know what happened to the Cavaliers' offense, but it just stopped moving. Everybody just started playing ISO basketball. Nobody was touching the ball anymore. I mean, where are my notes? I have notes here. Hold on. I have notes because I wrote down notes. Donovan Mitchell scored 3 points in the last quarter, including overtime. So you have overtime, the whole period of overtime, and the whole fourth quarter. Donovan Mitchell scored 3 points. The Cavaliers were up 20, 22 points. Just because you're up does not mean the gas pedal doesn't stop. You got to continue to push the gas on them, especially when you're playing away. You have to close that game out. And Richard Jefferson said it on the broadcast. They're up 20. The Knicks crowd is waiting for the Knicks to go on a run to get the crowd going again and get the crowd back locked into the game, and that's exactly what happened, man. The Cavaliers let go. The Knicks came back into the game. They started to control the game, and they ended up winning. But what happened in the last 5-7 minutes of this basketball game? Jalen Brunson went at James Harden every single possession. Possession after possession, it was Jalen Brunson versus James Harden. And Jalen Brunson was phenomenal. That man is a superstar. New York might have found their guy to get them over the playoff slump and make it back to the NBA Finals. Man, I will say that, man. I really do think the Knicks can win this series. And they might not even need 7 games to do it, man. They might not need 7 games to do it, but we'll see. Obviously, there's plenty of series left to be played. We've seen teams come back down 3-1. So who knows, man? Who knows? But those are some of the key notes that I wanted to point out. Harden hunted every single possession the last 7 minutes. Harden also did not shoot the ball at all. Donovan Mitchell needs to get more control of the ball late game and close the game out. You are the best player on that team. You cannot be scoring 3 points in the closing quarter and the closing overtime period. It just can't happen. The Cavaliers in general, you need to move the ball. If you're up 10, if you're up 20, if you're down 1, you need to move the ball, get everybody involved. The ball needs to continuously move. That's how you get guys open. That's how you find the open spots. That's how you build a rhythm for further down the game to close it out and actually win it, not blow a 20-point lead, okay? And yeah, I mean, I think for the Knicks, if you're the Knicks going into game 2, you know that, you know, you're able to dust off some of the rust that you had being off, you know, the past 8 to 9 days, closing out the other series early. So you had a lot of rest. So there's a lot of rust going into game 1. And the Knicks didn't necessarily shoot the 3-ball well in the first half, but once the second half got going, I mean, whatever locker room speech they had, they went to work, man, and they rightfully so, they won the game. And then we'll see what happens in game 2. Game 2 back at the Garden. I do think the Knicks will win another game and go into Cleveland up 2-0. So we'll see what happens with that. But let's go to the game, I guess, that's going to happen today, Spurs and Wemby. I still think OKC will win the series. Like I mentioned, I think Wemby can win them 2 games, but I think De'Aaron Fox needs to come back in order for them to have a chance to actually win the series. Now, if SGA continues to shoot like he did in the game 1, the Spurs might be able to actually win the series and head to the NBA Finals. I mean, SGA shot 7 for 23 last game in game 1, and I think that's one of the worst that he shot versus Spurs all season. So literally SGA had to have his worst game for the Spurs to win by 7 in double overtime. I don't know if I'm the Spurs, if I'm too thrilled about that win. Obviously every win is a great win, but you know, you have to really take into account, listen, SGA had to have his worst game for the Spurs to squeak by in double overtime. That's all I have to say, man. I don't know. I think it's going to be a close series. I think, honestly, this series, both of these series, no matter what happens, I think is going to be better than whatever the final series ends up being. That's just me, though. But, yeah, so we have, obviously, all the playoff stuff still going on. We have game 2 of Spurs and OKC tonight. So you guys will probably see my live reaction on Twitter. If you guys aren't following me on Twitter, make sure you guys follow me on there, obviously. So you guys are keeping in touch with everything that we have going on here at Sportswithseb. Okay, so that's the other thing. And then one of the other things that I wanted to talk about was LeBron James. LeBron James obviously is entering free agency in, you know, one of his closing years in the NBA. I don't want to say last because I'm not ready to admit that yet. But, I mean, he's entering free agency. He can go anywhere he wants. It's been reported that he's more than likely not taking a minimum contract anywhere. So, I guess the topic is LeBron retiring? right? I don't necessarily think he's gonna be retiring after like this off season. I think he'll have one more, if not 2 more years in the league before he officially calls it a quits. But I don't know. It's getting pretty close. If he has one more year, I think he's just gonna stay with LA, close it out, call it a career, and walk into the sunset. If he's gonna play 2 more years, though, I do think it's more than likely that he stays again with LA. I don't think he's going to go to another team. I think the only other team that was a viable option was Cleveland, because obviously that's where he's from. But after the report came out that he is not going to take a minimum, I don't see the Cavs making enough room to get LeBron unless there's some type of sign and trade scenario where maybe they trade Harden for LeBron. I don't know if LA wants to take on Harden, though. And I'm sure that they're going to want either Mobley or Allen attached to that, or some type of bigger package, because I don't think a Harden for LeBron swap with a couple picks at the end of it is gonna get the deal done. So, and obviously LeBron is always going to have the last say in whether he wants to go or not, because he's going to be free agent. So if he doesn't want to get traded to Cleveland, he's just not going to sign with LA. And, but we'll see what happens, man. We'll really see what happens. At the end of the day, I do think LeBron still plays one more year. I don't think LeBron is ready to call it official quits yet. So I'm gonna say LeBron sticks around for another year in LA. And I do think it's more than likely that he retires more. I'm trying to figure out how to word it. I think it's more likely LeBron retires than him going to a new team. It's either going to be LA or he retires. I don't see him going to a new team. I think we honestly put those rumors to rest. But what do I know? I'm just Sportswithseb. So, yeah. And then you guys see here, this is the report that he's not taking a minimum contract. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And this is obviously James Harden. That was the performance he put on versus the New York Knicks in Game 1. 1 for 8 from 3, 6 turnovers, 5 for 16 from the floor. You guys can't even see it on the app. There you guys go. 15 points, 5 for 16, 1 for 8 from 3, 6 turnovers, 5 fouls. I mean, it was honestly embarrassing to watch. And he got picked on every single. I really wish I was exaggerating that James Harden was getting picked on every single play that Jalen Brunson was running, but literally it was every single play, bro. It was bad. And one of the last things that we want to talk about, I see that I have about, honestly, we probably could run into the football stuff. So maybe not the prediction. Maybe we'll save the prediction for the next episode. And then for this episode, we'll just kind of go over football news. I think that's what we're going to do. Yeah. But the last thing that I did want to talk about, though, now that we did see the Minnesota Timberwolves lose their series versus the Spurs, the question is brought up. A couple questions are brought up. One, is it ready for a new I wouldn't say blow up the roster, but are we blowing up the roster in Minnesota? Is that what's next for the Timberwolves after losing 4-2 to the San Antonio Spurs in the semifinals? I think you have to get rid of Julius Randle. I think he's the obvious outlier on the roster. I think he's probably one of your better assets on the team. And he has a contract that is kind of friendly with a lot of other star players in the league, so you could match the salary on trade and maybe get someone better to fill the rest of your positions. But I mean, you really have to take into account what you want to do. So obviously you have Anthony Edwards, the face of the franchise, your guy. But do you want to continue to build around him and Rudy Gobert? Do you want to continue to build around Anthony Edwards, McDaniels, and Naz Reid. Then you have to take into account that you have Dante DiVincenzo coming off of his injury next season. The torn Achilles that he suffered during the playoffs this season. So you have a lot of moving parts in Minnesota coming into this offseason. There are a lot of question marks heading into this offseason. How much of this roster is going to stay intact? We do not know. Again, I'm on the boat that you kind of trade everybody except for Naz Reid and Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels. I think those three guys you kind of try and keep around. Everybody else completely expendable. I say you go trade Rudy Gobert, go get yourself another center, or get yourself free of the cap of his contract. Possibly take on some draft capital if you can. But I think it's time to move on from Rudy Gobert. I think it's time to move on from Julius Randle. And just kind of build around Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels, and Anthony Edwards. I think it's time to blow it up a little bit, do a soft rebuild, and try and come back again in a season or two. Kind of like what the Knicks did, where they kind of just decided, Julius Randle isn't going to work, and they traded for Karl Anthony Towns, and they added Mikal Bridges. They finished, a section of their history where it just really didn't work with Julius Randle, with Jalen Brunson, and those guys. You move some pieces around. Now you have Karl Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. You have a lot of these guys now. And now look, the New York Knicks are up 1-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2025 or 2026, right? So I think Minnesota kind of needs to take on that approach that the New York Knicks took and kind of do like a soft rebuild, trade some guys either for a complimentary piece that'll fit your timeline or at least clear some cap space off the books and give yourself some breathing room to possibly build through free agency in future summers, right? So I wouldn't say a full rebuild is needed in Minnesota, but I will say Minnesota does need a soft rebuild to come their way and figure out, how can we get over the hump and get back into championship level contention. And I think I saw a report today that one of the bigger fears in Minnesota is Anthony Edwards asking for a trade out of Minnesota. Now that it is more common for stars to voice, where they want to be and kind of controlling their destiny and just being like, I want to be traded and announcing it and demanding trades and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony Edwards does go that route. But honestly, I don't see it happening. I think he loves playing in Minnesota. I think as long as Minnesota is some type of competitive every year, I don't think he leaves. Now, unless there's something that happens behind the scenes with the front office and there's like a disagreement or something not normal, I don't think he's gonna ask out. I think he's pretty much gonna be in Minnesota till he retires. Now, if he does ask out, I would love to see Anthony Edwards in a Miami Heat uniform. How likely is that to happen? Not likely at all, man. Not likely at all. I think any Heat fan that is like, oh my god, like the dream of Anthony Edwards, because he's friends with Bam and he was friends with Coach Spo when he was on the USA team. Like, no, it's not happening, man. I don't think he's gonna be in Miami anytime soon. I don't think he's gonna be asking out anytime soon. I mean, I think if he asks out, it might be 3 to 4 seasons from now. Like, I really don't see it happening. I do think Minnesota will turn things around and get back into championship level contention pretty soon. And maybe hopefully Anthony Edwards can bring the first ever NBA championship to Minnesota. So, we'll see. We will see. And then, yeah, I guess if we're going to move on to the NFL, there is a couple of NFL stuff that I did want to get into. Let's go to our page, though. We have some breaking news. I believe that one of the last times that we were on episode, we were contemplating whether Devon Achane was going to be a Miami Dolphin for years to come, or if we were going to kind of trade him because, there was contract negotiations that were going on. But not to fear any longer, the Miami Dolphins and running back Devon Achane have agreed on a 4-year extension worth $68 million. That means he's locked in with the Miami Dolphins for $17 million a year, which makes him the third highest paid running back annually in the NFL as of right now. So obviously you guys know the market is always fresh, always changes. So Miami Dolphins locked him in, man. I'm glad we locked him in, dude. I was really getting worried that the rumors of us trading him were going to be true, especially with when you have a new regime in the front office. You never know who's safe and who's expendable, but it looks like they're locked in with Devon. So I'm excited for the Miami Dolphins. I know this coming season, it's probably not going to be one of our greater seasons. It might not be one of our middest seasons. But, at least we have... I'm grateful that Chris Grier is no longer responsible for any executive Miami Dolphin decisions. And honestly, I'm okay with that. As long as I can say that when I wake up in the morning, I'm okay with that. I'm sorry, Chris Grier, but I hated what you did for the Miami Dolphins. And I'm glad that we have the new regime in the front office. I'm excited for years to come. And we'll see what happens, man. Again, I'm glad that we re-signed him. A very big offensive piece, offensive weapon, one of the best players in the NFL. We'll stay in a Miami Dolphins uniform and will be the focal point for the Miami Dolphins rebuild for the next couple of years. Now, you guys saw the other tweet that I passed by. Don't want to spoil it, but if you guys don't know already, Aaron Rodgers will retire after this NFL season. It was announced in a press conference earlier today that the future Hall of Famer, the 4-time MVP, Aaron Rodgers, will be playing his last season in the NFL with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers put together a pretty decent offense, if I'm being honest, for this upcoming season. Obviously, playing in the AFC North, you know that you have the Bengals, you have Lamar Jackson, two other teams that are always going to be fighting for the number one spot in the division. But the Pittsburgh Steelers have made a couple moves. Obviously, they retained Aaron Rodgers. They do have Rico Dowdle now. They picked up Michael Pittman. And they also added a familiar face for Mr. Aaron Rodgers. A familiar face that he actually won a Super Bowl with. Mr. Mike McCarthy. He will be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you guys don't know and you guys are new and you guys are not following NFL or you guys are not up to date, Mike Tomlin is no longer a Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. Mike McCarthy was the replacement. And now Aaron Rodgers will get to play his last season with his former coach that he won a Super Bowl with, Mike McCarthy. Can the Pittsburgh Steelers win this division? I think their offense is great. I think they've got some great pieces. They have two great tight ends, Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington. Obviously, they added Rico Dowdle, who had a great year with the Panthers last season and the beginning of the season. And whenever Chuba Hubbard wasn't playing, Rico Dowdle was their guy. You also have a great defense. Patrick Queen, Joey Porter. They have former Dolphin Deshaun Elliott. They have another former Dolphin, Jalen Ramsey. A former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, Jamal Dean. Was he a former Tampa Bay Buccaneer? Am I getting that confused? I don't think I am, though. Yeah. Former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, Jamal Dean. Can we go back? I think they also added someone else. I think it was Jaquan Brisker, if I'm not wrong. Oh, there it goes. Brisker, my bad. I believe he played for the Bears last season. Am I correct on that? Yeah. So, obviously, they've improved. on a lot of different fronts, and I do think they can make a run at winning that division. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, obviously, I would never count the Ravens out just because Lamar Jackson is easily gonna win you 8 games if he's healthy all season. And usually in this division, everybody usually is around 8 or 9 games, 8 or 9 wins. So I would say they definitely can. I would say if I had to give my prediction though, I don't know. Let me see. If the Ravens didn't add like a really good wide receiver, then no. Yeah, no. I mean, I do like that they added Trey Hendrickson, but I mean, they did draft Jacoby Lane, but I don't see him listed as a starter. Maybe that changes as, we get closer to the start of the season. I still don't think he's enough, though. But Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, like, it's really hard to count those guys out, man. I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to say that the Ravens still end up winning the division, but I do think the Pittsburgh Steelers make the playoffs in a wild card spot. That I will 100% agree on. I really like the moves that the Steelers made. I really do think that Mike McCarthy, out of anybody else, is going to get the most out of Aaron Rodgers. And I know Aaron Rodgers is in his 40s. He's, obviously in his last year. How much does he really have left in the tank? We have seen his mobility go down drastically, obviously. That comes with the age. So we will see what ends up playing out, but I do think that they do make the playoffs in a wild card spot. I do think that the Ravens are still the clear-cut favorites to win the division, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers make a run last minute to win that division. And then one of the last things that I wanted to get into, now that we're talking about football, was FIU football. So recently there was an announcement that FIU football made that they're going to be, I think they added Old Dominion on schedule for a couple of games in the future. Let me get those exact years for you because I know they posted it not that long ago. Here we go. So we have a home and home with Old Dominion. If you guys don't know, Old Dominion was a former Conference USA member, if I understood what I looked up earlier correctly. Yeah. So they used to be in Conference USA. We've played them 7 times. The record, the head-to-head record for FIU and Old Dominion is 4-3. Old Dominion does lead in this series, though. So we're going to play the first game at Pitbull Stadium, September 23rd, 2028, right? And then we'll play at Old Dominion on April 30th in 2031. So definitely a long time away, nothing to worry about anytime soon. But I did want to touch on it a little bit because they did announce that a day prior to our previous episode, and I forgot to mention it on the previous episode. So I'm going to mention it on this one. So we do have a head-to-head, our home and home with Old Dominion coming in the next few years. Again, the head-to-head record is 4-3. Old Dominion does lead. The last matchup, let me see here. The last matchup was Old Dominion taking a win 47-24 on November 6, 2021. So 5 years ago was our last matchup versus Old Dominion, and Old Dominion did come away with the win. Chat, I think that's everything I really wanted to get into today. I did want to touch on the NFL schedule for the Miami Dolphins and kind of give my prediction on how many wins and losses and kind of go over that a little bit, but I think I'm going to save that for next week's episode because I do think that is going to run us over the hour that I like to keep us within. So that's going to wrap up episode 6. If anybody doesn't have any other questions, I think that's going to be it, guys. I appreciate everybody for coming in the episode today. Episode 6 of Sports with Seb. NBA playoff hoops. Make sure you guys like, follow, comment, subscribe on all platforms at Sports with Seb, guys. Make sure you guys are checking out our articles at Lemon City, 4 Paws Up, where we cover FIU athletics. We're going to have some soccer stuff going up in a few weeks, so make sure you guys are staying tuned for that. I'm going to try and maybe get back on a stream next Wednesday at this around the same time, 6:30, 6 o'clock. So make sure you guys keep an eye out for that. Maybe if I can get my stream set up working again for the video games, maybe I'll go live and play some video games over the weekend since it's a long weekend, but no promises. We'll see. But yeah, man, that's going to wrap up episode 6, so we'll catch you guys in the next one.